So I thought I would share how I make two encase beads at once. This is a relatively short video, so I've not sped it up. This way you get a feeling for how long it takes to let the glass settle into the right shape. I started by heating the bead release. This is important to prevent off-gas bubbles. Next, I'm going to make two small white beads. I've used a Fetro White 204, but you can use any white. The important part is to make two beads about the same size. So here I'm just layering on the white glass in two beads. Just heat the glass and then apply it onto the mandrel. Make sure both beads are the same size. So here I'm just heating the beads to make them the right shape. And you heat the bead, and then when you take it out, you want to very slowly turn it to use gravity to make the shape of the bead consistent. And then heat the next bead while you're shaping the first one. And then I'm keeping the mandrel flat and still spinning the bead until it goes opaque again. There it goes opaque. Next, I'm going to apply the transparent Rubino Oro, which is a Fetro 456 gold pink. I start encasing in the middle of each bead, going back and forth between the two beads to keep each bead a consistent heat. So my glass is getting a little short, so I'm going to pick it up with my favorite tool, my greedy grabbers. And then I'm going to go back and forth applying the transparent glass to the right side of both beads and then to the left side of both beads. The important thing is to switch back and forth. When you do something on one bead, then do it on the other bead. That way you keep your heat consistent between both beads. So now I'm just checking to make sure that there's an even amount of the transparent glass on both beads. I'm applying it to some of the thinner spots on each side. Just kind of checking each one. And there's a little bit of glass that's sticking out, so I'm just pressing that back in so that it'll evenly cover the white glass as I heat it. I'm starting to melt the clear down, and I'm starting in the middle. I can heat both beads at once this way. The important part is just to keep the mandrel level so that the glass will go down towards the hole on both beads at one time. And then I heat the outside of one and then the outside of the other. We're just heating it to pull the transparent glass down towards the hole, really close to the mandrel, but not quite touching the mandrel. And you just kind of want to edge around each bead, heating both beads. Now that I've got the transparent down over the sides of the beads, I'm reheating both beads to get the shape back into round. So you'll see here, I pull it out of the flame. So I'm going to reshape it, just kind of keeping all of the glass centered over the mandrel. And then when I reheat the bead, it'll settle back down into the shape that I want it to be. And then once you're happy with the shape, you can start adding any kind of decorations that you want. So on these, since I'm using Rubino Oro to encase the beads, I'm going to use colors that will react to the Rubino in taking stripes and dots, and the colors will have a dark center that go on top of the Rubino Oro. Just doing a little more shaping here. And you can see a light spot in the Rubino there. That's not to worry, it'll strike back to pink as I put the decorations on. So I'm going to start with dark turquoise and a stripe on one of the beads. Just heat the bead and spin the bead to draw the stringer around the bead, and then heat the stringer to make sure it's attached. And then on the second bead, I'm using sky blue, and same thing, just attach it, and then you're going to spin your bead and keep your stringer in place. So for the dots, I just hold the mandrel in one place and spin it, and once you put the dot on the bead and you pull the stringer up into the flame, it will not only flame cut the glass, but it'll also give you a dot of glass the same size that you want to keep your dots consistent. So here I'm just heating the dots to make sure that they've adhered. I tilt the mandrel down to do the beads on the left side because I use my right hand to apply the dots. This one is shrubbery, and it was a bit short, so I just picked it up with my tweezers. And same thing, just dot, cut it off in the flame, and heat them so that I know that they're not going to pop off. Just heating that first bead since all the dots and stringers are on there. I'm going to heat the center so that they both get warm. Keep those dots. Get the dots started to melt in. So on the second bead, I have dots of opal yellow on one side. And I'm going to do dots of periwinkle on the other side. So there's quite a few of these colors that'll react with the Rubino, and you can just kind of play with them and see which ones you like. And now I'm just going to heat the dots and the stringers into the Rubino, and this is when the reaction will occur where you'll get the stripe down the solid lines and the center dot in each of the dots. And I'm spinning them fairly quickly because I don't really want the heat to go all the way to the core of the bead and get it misshapen. I just want to melt in the surface decorations. And you can be as precise or as organic as you like with your decorations on these beads. If I'm making earring pairs, this is how I would make them so that I can get them exactly the same. These are going to be for a bracelet, so I don't want the colors to be exactly the same, or the size doesn't need to be perfect, but this is how I do it if I'm going to make them perfect. So there you can see the little stripe, little insurance heat, and pop them in the kiln.